Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 154, where it doesn't matter if you've done 1,000 deals. It doesn't matter if you have done 0 deals. You are going to pick up some tools and tactics that you can implement into your business to make you more money in 2023. I am Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People. And of course, I'm joined by the incredible, the realtor training. I imagine when you go into realtor training, you're like, they're like lions, and you're like the lion tamer, just snapping at them. And that is Mr. Pace Morby, Mr. Sub 2, Mr. Creative Finance. You know him, you love him. How are you, Pace?
I'm good, man. Been talking straight for like 5 straight hours. So I'm 7 hours.
So
7
you're just
hours
warming
straight
up.
talking. Doing a real estate agent creative finance class. It was great.
It was for 7 hours.
That was for 5 hours. And then I had a 2-hour phone call with getting triple digit flip re-signed for season 3.
Nice.
And that's been the last 2 hours. So interesting. How you doing, bro?
How did it go with the real estate agents changing their minds on different real estate techniques?
It was good. It's really interesting. I'm not trying to rat out any agents, but you just realize that how little agents actually know about real estate in general.
Right.
They all admitted, hey, we didn't learn how to comp in real estate school.
Yeah.
We didn't learn how to do this. We didn't learn how to fill out contracts. We didn't learn how to do marketing. We didn't actually learn how to value a homeowner's property. It was really nice. It was refreshing. I think the audience that I attracted to come to this thing was very much, hey, I'm here to learn, and I'm here not to have an ego just because I'm licensed.
Awesome.
I was actually very worried, bro. I was worried that because I'm not a licensed agent, that they were not going to want to actually learn from me, because there's a stigma attached to investor versus agent.
Yep.
And the class was amazing. People stayed around for a couple hours and asked questions, and we're going to be doing it again next month. It was completely I think what the agents expected, because they see me on YouTube and they see that like I have a mentorship, and they see these things, that they thought that at any moment I was going to pull out like some hard close thing of like, and I'm not going to teach you anything else unless you sign up for this $50,000 mastermind,
Nice.
And luckily I had an agent right in the very beginning who said, I hate wholesalers, and I hate people who wholesale. And I had a good hour-long breakdown of like why wholesaling exists and how it actually brings value to a specific part of the marketplace. And I got her to go, wow, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think that just having communication with agents and having a class put together where they all get to hang out with each other and they're nodding their heads, and you serve them lunch and there's nothing to sell, except I told everybody in that room, I said, if you don't make an extra 50 grand with me this year specifically, then I did something wrong in this room today. It was phenomenal, man. It was, one thing that I really picked up, I think agents have a couple of really hard hangups. One of them being representation on deals. They go into every single lead expecting, how am I going to list this property? Whereas you and I don't ever think about, how am I going to list a property?
No.
And that ties into actually today's topic, which is, how do I JV in real estate? So I brought up to agents. I go, you don't have to represent somebody in every real estate transaction. You can just be the buyer, or you could be the person that's doing the wholesale transaction, or you as the agent can make an assignment fee from your client. And I think that's the beautiful thing about real estate is there's so many different ways you can go. I actually have a JV agreement we just had refreshed. I don't know if you care if, do you have a JV agreement that you share?
Locked and loaded for this? No, we have one in at wholesalinginc.com. Yeah, but we don't have one like Matt has ready to load. If you have one to load, we could definitely go through it. But it's interesting, Pace, because as an agent, they're thinking income comes from commission. Commission comes from representation. And brokers are the ones saying, hey, listen, you need to get more commissions. You need commission. So is there a way that the brokers can be happy, the agents can be happy, even if they are the principal in the deal? Does the broker still get paid so that they still have a house to live in, so to speak, as a brokerage, Pace?
Ask the question again.
Okay. If I assign something, I am not representing a buyer or a seller, correct?
Correct.
I am not receiving
a commission.
I am not receiving income from services rendered. I am receiving income for an asset that I sold. That asset that I sold was the purchase agreement. Okay. Right. So when I sell that purchase agreement, I'm not getting paid by the buyer or the seller. Well, technically I'm getting paid by the buyer, but it's from an asset, not for representation. Right. And because of that, I go to my broker and I say, hey, listen, why am I paying you my split when I'm not representing anybody? It's not even in our brokerage anymore. I just assigned the rights to some other buyer. We're out of this thing. And they go, well, the assignment fee has to come through the brokerage as a commission, and that's how we get paid on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what smart brokers are doing? Is they're making sure
that's what they're doing. Yep. That's how brokers are changing that up, and they're putting together different documentation that everybody signs that lets everybody know that. Right. Lets everybody know that this agent is being a buyer, being a principal in this transaction, and is going to, once that purchase agreement is signed, you have the asset, sells it to another buyer. The buyer is going to pay an assignment fee, and the broker gets a slice of that if it goes through the brokerage.
That's smart. I like that. I like it when real estate agents and real estate brokers figure out how to get paid. I don't have a problem with people getting paid on any transaction. What I think the big challenge of this industry is that brokers will tell agents that certain things are illegal.
Yep.
And I did talk about that today in my class. I said, guys, let's talk about the issues between agents and investors and wholesalers, specifically wholesaling a sub-2 deal or buying a sub-2 deal from a listed property through an agent. Do you know that there's thousands of real estate investors out there that refuse to work with agents? Like last week, Jamil launched an episode with Jerry Norton on Jerry Norton's YouTube channel. And he was talking about how, I love Jamil, but him and my strategy and his strategy are polar opposites of each other. I don't like working with real estate agents.
Right.
I don't like arguing with somebody that doesn't have any financial gain in the real estate transaction. They only have a gain if it goes through one method or another, and they won't even present the offer. So today I talked about this in my class. I said, guys, I find that your industry will not even present an offer to the seller because A, you're embarrassed you don't know how to.
Yep.
And B, you're embarrassed that you don't know what the strategy even means. Like you don't even understand forget about even if you knew how to do it, you don't know how to pitch it.
Yeah.
And instead of you going to your seller and having these conversations very intelligently, you just tell the wholesaler or the buyer, no, my seller's not interested in that. And what I love about what you just said is that the broker is being smart and saying, dude, it's kind of like legalizing marijuana.
Yep.
It's like, why wouldn't the state want the tax income that comes from all this marijuana income? Like, why wouldn't you make sure that this is happening? There's nothing illegal about it.
How about coach it and teach it and train it?
That's a really great point.
You and I exist because brokers don't train agents.
That's a really great way of looking at it.
That's the reason we exist. I mean, I mean, for real. Like in real estate, you get your license. And by the way, real estate and the training and everything that you go through is basically like sitting in with an attorney for 90 hours, and they are just fear mongering you the whole time.
Yeah.
They tell you the biggest, hugest mistakes everybody made. They scare you to death on all these things because they want you to be ethical. And I totally believe that. I think that there should be a code of ethics for all business. I truly do. And I understand that. But in that, they're not teaching different strategies besides you represent the buyer, you represent the seller, and this is how we get paid in this in-between part. Well, there's this other part, right? Where we become, what happens when we buy our own houses as an agent? When we buy our own houses as an agent, the broker goes, oh, when you want to buy your own house, we'll only give you a transaction fee of $250 to $500 per brokerage. If you're going to be the principal because you're representing yourself, we know that you're great and we want to hook you up, right? Boom. Right. Okay, great. So what happens if you do that 5-10 times a month because you're doing creative finance and you're doing wholesale deals? Well, now the agent, the brokerage is getting some they're getting $250 per deal if you go through that and tell them that you're buying these yourself. But what happens if you don't buy it? What happens when you assign it, Pace? What happens when you're not when you're not the one that's recording it? This is the problem that brokerages have. And smart brokerages are realizing, hey, listen, we're going to grease the wheels to help you assign any deals that you want to do, but we get our cut. We get our cut the regular way, but you're covered by our E&O insurance, right? You're covered with our brokerage and our in-house attorneys and anything else that would happen. You are covered. You are protected. You're not just out there on your own. Yeah. And I think it's a smart thing for brokerages to do. I think it's something that they need to open up and be comfortable with. The reason that they're not comfortable with it is because they like all their disclosures and representing somebody in the transaction and just getting a commission. They're not really sure what needs to be disclosed and not disclosed in a wholesale deal.
It's interesting to think about because I feel like with the brokers, right? You and I train a lot of people. And you are the one that really highlighted this for me, is that the people that will never do anything with it are the people who get trained for free.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see the statistics, is that you were right. And so I'm wondering if there are brokers out there. Actually, I know this has got to happen for sure. You're a broker and you go, man, I want my agents to do a lot more business. So you go out and train, you do classes, you bring in special guests, and you probably take your success rate from, let's say it's out of 100 agents that you recruit, you end up having 5 agents that are successful, like at a good high level of making $100,000 or more a year. But then you start doing heavy duty training and you double that. And it's 10 agents a year. But the problem is then some of those agents go off, start their own brokerages. So now you have attrition. You got to keep that training going. I can see why a lot of brokers can justify in their mind, like, dude, I don't have the energy to have to train you guys at such a high level all the time in order to have you still only have go from 5% success rate to 10% success rate. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And for the brokers out there doing it, kudos to you guys because you're fighting the good fight. It would be nice. I made a post on my Instagram this morning and I said the middle class is getting way smaller. The poor people are getting poorer. Middle class is both going down, and then the middle class is also going up into the richer. So the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and that's squeezing the middle. And I did a survey. I said, what do you guys think the reason is? Do you think it's because the government and the education system? Do you think it's rich people have advantages? Or do you think it's that maybe the middle class has gotten complacent and lazy and they get to a point where they just pay their bills and they just want to basically live in, Ready Player One world, video games and TV and Netflix. And I had a good 30% of the people said it's because rich people have strategies and tactics that other people don't have. And I'm like, interesting. 30% of people think that it has nothing to do with anything but the rich people just know things. And I do agree with that. But in the information age, there's no excuse for not having access to information, right?
Yeah.
So what I think what happens is brokers out there are trying to educate, or there are a good portion of brokers who have tried to educate, but it is a lot of work getting lazy Americans who have gotten incredibly complacent and They don't want to add skills to their merit badge, right? They don't want to gain more merit badges, like learn how to find investor buyers, learn how to do creative finance, learn how to do wholesale assignment. And I think brokers probably get to a point like, dude, really? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go recruit 100 agents and just have 5% be successful. I'm not going to waste my time doubling my success rate. As a broker, this isn't paying off.
Yep.
But I think they should be charging. I think that what they should do is they go, we'll teach you a new skill. Why don't you come in here and let's charge you for the information and turn it into a business that no matter whether they're successful or not, I think the brokers should figure out how to monetize on that help.
Well, and I mean, they do. They have different like little certifications that you can do through Realtor, through the Realtor organization, which is the biggest lobbying group in the country. And so you can take little certifications, but it's all on how to represent investors.
Yeah.
How, you know what I mean? Not how to be an investor. It's how to represent investors. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You know, there's this old quote from Earl Nightingale, who he's like the godfather of personal development. And he says, you can't uplift the downtrodden. And I always thought that was harsh, right? I always thought it was kind of like, what does that mean? And it's like, you can't convince somebody to be motivated. You can't inspire somebody to go out and take action. It is 100% their own sovereignty, their own personal responsibility to go out and to provide value to the marketplace. That's all income is. That's how our whole society was designed, is you put value out into the marketplace and you get income coming back. I mean, that's the scales that it does. And a lot of people, and I didn't understand that for a long time. I was just like, well, at some point you make the right decision, you make a bunch of money and it's game over type of thing, like the game cash flow. But really what you do is you have to go out there every single day and provide as much value as possible. And in our business, we go out and we talk to people that own ugly houses or that are in ugly situations.
Right.
And if we do that enough, you can't lose. You cannot lose.
Yeah.
But
here's
what's
what's
the
interesting.
seed first, though, right, Pace? You have to have the seed of motivation.
Agreed. I was in Miami last couple of days. And before I went and spoke on stage, I was like, okay, I'm going to go catch some of this air, this beach ocean air. So I walk out on the beach sidewalk, and Miami South Beach has a lot of homeless people.
Sure.
And I'm looking at this homeless person. Now, we could get into a conversation about addiction and mental health, but let's throw that out the window for a moment. And I really thought about this. This is a thing that really has stuck with me, where I go, man, if I gave that person $100,000 right now, could I solve their problems? What would that look like? Like, if we made a TV show and documented finding homeless people and go, here you go. Here's the money. Here's the education. Here's a class. I'm going to put you through all that kind of stuff. Question is, are they going to show up? Or are they going to mismanage the money? I don't know. Now, it made me then think about my brother. Okay. I had a brother, Corbin, who I named my daughter after. My brother hung himself. Okay. I have a brother that killed himself, and I had to identify the body. It was one of the most traumatic things. I never talk about this. I don't think you've ever heard me talk about this, really. Maybe one time I've told you this.
Yep.
It's not something I bring up, but it really is an interesting thing that even people that have access to the information, have access to work ethic and opportunity, squander it. Right. And my brother, going through what he was going through, I'm not going to belittle it, but it is interesting that people make their own decisions. And I remember when my brother was going through all of this, one of the counselors that my mom and dad were talking to about, like, how do we overcome this? My son is addicted to this and my son is doing this. And one time my mom was cleaning my brother's room and she found a sawed-off shotgun underneath his mattress. Like, my brother was into heavy stuff,
Yeah.
And even in a family that grew up religious, grew up learning work ethic, the same family that brought me up is the same family that brought up my brother, Corbin. But there was something where my brother just was going through it. And so my parents hired this consultant to help them, right? They tried everything at this point, 5 years, boys camps, psychologists, all the things. If you guys think that there's some suggestion out there to solve this problem, my parents tried it. I promise you. Okay. And the same way my parents raised me is the same way they raised my brother. So there was no difference in the food that he ate, the clothes, the opportunity, the places he lived, the church he went to, the Bible lessons every single morning. Like my brother had it. I have an Eagle Scout straight A student, and my brother and I are a year apart in the same household, but we ended up differently.
Yeah.
But the counselor ended up telling my parents, they said, your son, unfortunately, has to hit rock bottom and make the decision on his own, because at the end of the day, nothing you can do will be able to motivate and get another human being into solving their problems, but their own commitment to themselves.
Yep.
And it didn't really make sense to me at the time because I was only 17, 18. I was more involved with like what was going on in my world. And I didn't know my brother 7 or 8 years later would end up hanging himself. But it's interesting. I know that's a very dramatic turn, but when you bring this up, there was nothing my parents could do. Nothing my parents could do. They loved him. They gave him opportunity. My parents, did everything you could imagine.
Yeah.
But my brother wasn't ready for it. And my brother wouldn't make a commitment to himself. And so I also had this really interesting thing I did when I was just a contractor. I ended up hiring this guy named Gary. Gary was a homeless person. And I met him. I was driving down the road and I see Gary. I'm like, man, he's physically fit. He doesn't look like he's on drugs. I end up pulling over. I give him $20 and he's like, I go, what's going on, man? He goes, man, I just lost my construction business. I was a contractor for a long time. And I'm just down on I'm like, okay, you got all your teeth. Like, you don't look like you're addicted to anything. How can I help you? He goes, man, I just need an opportunity. I need an opportunity. I'm like, man, I'm overwhelmed with opportunity. Okay, what do you need? He goes, man, if I could get a van and I could get a job, I could finish this house for you. Or I could do anything for you. I go, okay, I got a house that I'm getting ready to do. I buy the guy a $5,000 van off Craigslist, like one of those white cargo vans.
Yep.
$5,000. I let him stay in the house that he's working on. Bro, I don't even want to go into the story. This guy was just self-sabotaging every little thing. Even when somebody gave him all the opportunity in the world, he self-sabotaged everything. And at the end of this relationship, this is what he says to me. He says, Pace, I'm going to be honest with you. There's nothing you can do to help me. I haven't made a commitment to myself to change my life.
Yep.
Bro, I was blown away by that.
What do you think's the difference? You know what I mean? What is the seed of belief in yourself? You know what I mean? That you can, even though you failed, even though you screwed up, even though you might have lost relationships or lost, your profession or your job or your income source or whatever else. How do you get the seed of belief back into it, into yourself? I mean, at some point, faith has to come in, right?
I can tell you what, at 100% of everything that that has allowed me to be successful actually did not even come down to me. What it came down to was the people I was around.
Mm-hmm.
When I met Brent Daniels, my income increased $1 million a year. When I really started collaborating with other people making $2-3 million a year, I started making $2-3 million a year.
Yep.
Even today, I was collaborating with somebody talking about their business and what they're doing on the back end. And I was sitting there taking notes. I'm like, man, I am literally a product of my environment. I take zero credit for any of my success. I know what it looks like to not be around the right people, but still have the same work ethic. I was a contractor making a good living, but I wasn't making money. Like, I wasn't generating wealth. I got around the right people. It has changed my mindset. And here's what happened with my brother. I'll tell you, where my brother veered off is this. Okay. My brother Chance, he'll never listen to this podcast, so I don't worry about him hearing this, but I'll rat him out a little bit. My brother Chance was my little brother Corbin's idol. Okay. So Chance is older than me, and I've got Harmony, then I've got Pace, then I've got Corbin. Okay. My brother Chance, at the age of 16, invites my brother Corbin to go sneak out of the house with him and go hang out with his 16-year-old friends.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Corbin is like, wow, I want to be one of the cool kids. And what do you think he does at age 11 years old?
16-year-old nonsense.
16-year-old nonsense, right? He was an 11-year-old kid that my brother Chance, who was drinking 5 years earlier and he was supposed to, is now having my 11-year-old brother drink because that's who Chance was hanging out with. Okay. Yeah. And so my brother and my two brothers would sneak out at nighttime, and they would come even knock on my door and go, you want to sneak out? And bro, I had this really weird experience when I was in 6th grade with one of my friends, Tyler. I was at his house. His brother shows up drunk, and this guy is out of his mind drunk. You can't even understand a single thing he's saying. And it made such a strong impression on me that I was like, I never want to look like that in my life. He was the opposite of cool.
Yep.
And so like you guys, you see these beer commercials like bikini girls and all this kind of stuff where you're like, okay, that's what drinking looks like. But to me, what drinking looked like was when Brian, Tyler's brother, came home completely obliterated drunk. That scared me silly that I never wanted to touch alcohol ever in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't what my brother Corbin and Chance went through. That was my experience. So my brother Chance would sneak Corbin out of the house because they knew it was wrong. They had to sneak out. I would say no. Then I became the uncool brother. I was the uncool brother because these guys were out sneaking around. Next thing you know, my 11-year-old brother's doing things to impress his older 16-year-old brother. He's drinking. Next thing you know, he's then smoking weed. Next thing you know, he's dropping out in 8th grade, and he's not coming home at night. And my brother Chance actually changed his friend circle, and my brother Chance cleaned up, got married, did a whole bunch of amazing things. My brother now is like the head of payroll for Vivint, one of the largest, security companies in the country. My brother is like head of their whole entire accounting department. He's incredibly smart, intelligent guy. He changed his friend circle. What happened with my brother Corbin is his friend circle kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's what dragged my brother down. And so for me, I look at it, I go, show me your friends. I'll show you your future. That's it. That's been the recipe for my success. Every single day, I'm like, who am I hanging around? Who am I spending time with? Who are my conversations with? Because I have not had a single thought on my own. The people I'm around are the people that pour the recipe of my thoughts into my brain, and what comes out of that recipe, right? The recipes come in my ears and through my eyes, and they exit through my mouth. It is 100% the environment that I'm in. And, it's like you have done multiple things for me. You've done stuff where you question me like a good friend. Like, why are you doing that? Or a good friend will also say, you should be doing this. And then a really, really good friend like you, Jamil, other friends, will also lead by example.
Sure.
And so I would say 100% show me your friends. I'll show you your future.
And that gets into joint venturing.
That does get into joint venturing, 100%.
I mean, it does. I mean, that's really it. I mean, powerful story, Pace. I mean, it's tragedy. I'm
sure, bro, you've lost people.
For your parents, like the whole time you're talking, I'm just thinking as a parent, what that's like. It could be like, I don't even want to go there. I just don't want to go there, mentally right now or in my heart. And it is, I mean, listen, the people that you hang around with and your vibe attracts your tribe. You know what I mean? We talk about it all the time. We talk about, you got to be around people that challenge you, but also cheerlead you. And that is really, really, really difficult. You know what I mean? And it takes time. It takes time to be able to filter it down and to get to that point. But it's worth it. And being around people and being in rooms of people that are doing more and more and more. What I have always found, Pace, is the people doing more, the people that are there are much nicer than the people on the way up. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? The people there are much more kinder, and they're ready to go, and they're secure in where they are, just as a person, as a professional, as a from a financial standpoint. And so the people there are so happy to share what they're doing. They're so happy to challenge the way that you're already thinking. They'll say, stop it. What are you doing? I remember having this conversation with both you and Jamil, and it's like, you guys, you need to pay yourselves. Stop paying everybody else so much. You gotta start paying yourselves. You got to take it home to you and your family. Or
Yeah, that was one of those things where your friend says, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Or what? Hey, can you tell me why you're doing this? Because maybe I'm missing something. And that was a conversation you had with me maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
Where I changed the way I paid myself, and all of a sudden, I started making a lot more money.
A lot more money.
Even though my revenues were the exact same.
Yep. Well, and then you just explode them from there. You know what I mean? And then you attract other really talented people to run the business that you have. And that's the whole point. I mean, if you look at what we do as real estate entrepreneurs, the idea is, as a business owner, you first do your first deal, and then you get consistency so that you can do this business full time. And then you build an actual company that runs without you. On a daily basis, it runs without you going in and having to pound the phones every single day and go on all the appointments and go and talk to all the title companies and hard money lenders and all this stuff. It allows you to elevate your game to another level. And that's when you start really buying assets and really getting into wealth creation, really doing exciting things. But you can't do that if first you don't lay the groundwork of really, really, really hard work for a long time. You did it. Jamil did it. I've done it. Everybody that we know that we've had on this channel that has done amazing things has gone out and really, really, really worked. But what the reason I'm pulling this all together is when you're out there and you're going and you're being so proactive and providing so much value, you attract people that are out there providing so much value. And all of a sudden you've got this like mega squad of people that are out there like making a huge impact. And that's all it takes. But you can't do that if you're being silent. You can't do that if you're like behind and barely doing anything and just, letting life's entertainment, suck up all your day. You need to go out and you need to like produce. And when you get outside of yourself and outside of your self-work and go out there and produce, one, you feel unbelievable, and two, you attract the absolute best people into your world, and those people want you to win. They love that you win. They'll be on the phone with you. I call you sometimes and we're on the phone for like an hour, and it's like a Tuesday, and I know you've got like a bazillion things and you're just going and going and going, and it's just so incredible. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But that is what you get when first of all you are fine making money with your friends and joint venturing and doing some incredible things. But two, when you're being really, really, really proactive. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to be on the phones. I'm scared. I'm an introvert. I'm doing all these things and whatever else. Well, then how are you going to attract it? How are you going to go out and bring people into your world? How are you going to provide value? You can just figure out how. Just figure out how you can go and provide value to a ton of people and really connect with people that will cheerlead you and really want what's best for you.
I actually have a suggestion on that. You're now sparking an idea here. So I just did this agent class, right? And my agent class was long, but it was also, first 30 minutes is my story, why they should listen to me. I'm not licensed, so why should you listen to me type of thing.
Yep.
Who just barely found out about me in the last 2 weeks, half the room, really great. And then I talked about like the basics of creative finance. But what happened is I'm sitting here thinking, why are like, it'd be great is if like TTP, Astro, and sub 2 students go, we're going to do a real estate agent class this month in our local area. And we're going to teach agents how to wholesale, do creative finance, and bring opportunities to us. We're going to pull up the expired listing list. I mean, the expired listings in Maricopa County right now are skyrocketing. The amount of foreclosures. It's crazy. So these agents are like, well, where do we find opportunities? I'm like, how about the last like 12 sub 2 deals I bought here in Phoenix, Arizona came from an existing listed property that was on the market over 100 days. Agents didn't know what to do with them. And I have agents who are sub 2 students that are now calling these people and saying, how about we both get paid on this thing that you can't sell? And then anyway, so my thought is why in the side comments, Why are you guys not sitting down going, why don't we do 3 classes, right? With real estate agents, one on creative finance or one on wholesale. How do we do wholesale deals? What are we looking for? How can we amplify agents' success in your local market? Have the title company put together a lunch where you bring in 10 agents. That's it. You don't need 100 like I did. Get 10. At the end of the class today, I had agents that go, dude, this was like, I learned more from you than I did in 2 weeks in real estate school. This was amazing. I didn't know this. This is amazing. Can we do one next month? And I'm sitting here looking at a room of 100 people, basically, that if all of them just did one deal with me a year.
Yeah.
That's 100 deals in 1 year. That's value. If you're a TTP, Astro, or Sub 2 student, why aren't you guys putting a realtor class together at your title company? My title company and every title company I know will pay for a lunch and learn. They'll pay for the lunch. They'll do it right there in their own boardroom. They'll let you use their office and say, come in and use the office if you don't have a space, and just go teach a 1 hour or 2 hour class and bring in real estate agents to collaborate with.
Pace, I've been loud since 17, so 6 years. This is the first time that my old brokerage North & Co is having me come in to talk to their agents. You want to know why? Because they have gotten lazy. They aren't picking up the phones. They were used to this market, and they want me to come in and melt their faces and put them on the right path of being super proactive. And we're talking 300 agents in a room that I'm going to be talking with in mid-February. And I'm telling you, man, we're sneaking in. We are sneaking in because what we're doing works, and it works in every single market. And agents that it'll only resonate with, in my experience, probably like 10 to 15% of the agents will really, really like be pumped by it. The other ones, half of them will be offended by it. And then the other half just will kind of just dinky-dunk-a-dunk-a-doo and just live their life and do their thing. Right. Yeah. But it's important. It's important to share. It's important to go out there and squat up with these agents that all day long, guys, all they're doing and thinking about is real estate deals. I mean, some of them. I mean, most of them aren't doing any real estate deals, but at least they're out there and they can be proactive, and they don't know how to put together a creative finance deal. They don't know how to put together a wholesale deal. And we can go out there and we can really educate them. And that brings us back. Jamil built a whole franchise on it. And we miss Jamil. Everybody send some love to Jamil. He is, of course, he wants to be here, but he can't tonight. But I'm telling you, like, you can literally train agents up to work with you and joint venture with you. And all day long, they're out there connecting, and they've been in the business for a long time, and they can bring you a tremendous amount of referrals. So I think it's a really strong strategy to set up like even a workshop that you travel around to different brokerages, and they all have monthly meetings and do a 15-20 minute, talk that's real tight that you guys put together, and you'll do more business than you know what to do with. I mean, you will.
Yeah, and I think for some of the newbies, right? There's people in here that are new to Wholesale Hotline. You don't have to be the person teaching the class.
No.
Like, people go, well, what value do I bring? I'm brand new. Why don't you set up the appointments? And why don't you set up the class? Why don't you call the title companies? Why don't you call the brokerages and set them up for the more experienced people in the group? Like, here's what I would do. I would call a Pace Morby or a Brent or somebody in my local market and go, hey, if I set up a couple of lunch and learns at a title company and invited agents, would you let me sit by your side? That, one, I gain the credibility. Two, I can listen and learn from you. Three, I get to build the relationships with these agents, and they'll potentially do deals with both of us. And four, I can actually take action and provide value to you that you and I could collaborate in joint venture on a bunch of transactions. You literally don't have to know how to do anything in real estate to do that.
Yep.
In fact, I'm writing that down. I don't know. When people ask me all the time, what value do I bring? That is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't you calling brokerages, title companies, and saying, hey, Brent Daniels, will you come speak? Bro, you'll go speak in front of 15 people. I will, all day long.
All day long.
And you've got TTP students in every market. I've got successful sub-2 students in every market. Why don't you just call one of my sub-2 students and go, if I could get you into a brokerage, get you into a title company, and we could get 15, 20 people to show up here, would you teach for an hour, teach for 30 minutes, talk about a deal you did last time? In fact, damn, think about this. What if you're a sub-2 student, a TTP student, an Astro student, you call the title company you just did a deal with, and you go, hey, do you mind if we break down the paperwork on this transaction in your title company's boardroom this coming Friday afternoon at 4:00? The answer is always yes.
Yeah. Can you send it out to your list of people that you do business with that might be interested in this? You would fill up a room in one email.
Bro. Oh my gosh. Now
one
now
email.
I'm like,
and then, you know what the strategy there is, Pace. You go, hey, listen, here's what you do. This is how you go find these deals. This is how you do these deals. And this is how you become the buyer. If you don't want to be the buyer, fine. I'll be your buyer. Okay. I will be your buyer. I will give you proof of funds right now. I will be your buyer. If you don't want to do it, I want you to go out and do all of these strategies. If you don't want to do it, I will do it for you. I will do it with you, whatever it is. Okay. And I'll tell you, they will bring you so many deals because they'll be like, let me just see how you do this. Let me see it in real life. Or I just want the commission and be out. Like for real. They literally would. Like, and then you could go into so many different things. All right. If you have a listing that is really beat up and and you get an offer on it and it's going well, and for some reason it gets wiggly, I'd love to be your backup offer on any of those listings that you have. How about that? I want to be your second best buyer. Put it out to the market, put it out to everybody, get the highest and best. Send that deal when it gets wiggly to me, and I'll save it. You keep all the commission. You could be a backup offer on every single deal in town.
Here's the problem with this. It goes back to the very beginning of what we talked about. The problem with this is there's the people that do and the people that do not, right? There's the people that take notes, and then there's the people that take action.
Yep.
And so even this strategy that we just talked about, I'm going to call it the zero value strategy. You provide zero value to the marketplace as you stand right now. You don't know how to fill out contracts. You don't know how to fill out paperwork. You don't know how to find buyers. You don't know how to talk to buyers. You don't know how to talk to sellers. You don't know how to negotiate. You don't have any money. You're broke. Well, even though you have zero value, you have tremendous value by picking up the phone and setting up. This is the thing is we put this on my Instagram stories. I had 120 people sign up in less than 5 minutes, and my team had to turn the thing off because there were so many people that wanted to come to this thing. I'm like, man, I didn't know there was such a demand for this. And then I was like, of course there's demand for this. None of these agents know what they're doing right now. Their brokers are not teaching them. You don't even have to know everything about everything. Find somebody in your local market in the Wholesale Hotline chat right now, or in my Facebook group, wherever you want to find them, and say, why don't we JV on this? Why don't we go and call 5 title companies and put on a class?
Yep.
Not even a full master class. Just go, we want to break down where we found our last deal, how we found our buyer, and why we chose this title company to do the transaction. Come do a lunch and learn with us. It's 30 minutes plus some Q&A. If you did that and you're brand new and you just called somebody else that's more experienced, dude, you would be the most well-known person in your market within 3 to 6 months.
Yep. Mike Mahoney, you know Mike, my best friend, did this back in the day during the downturn, teaching agents how to bid at the foreclosure auctions. And he worked for a company called Brown Equity, and nobody wanted to bid at the foreclosure auctions. They just paid them $3,500 every time to bid at the foreclosure auctions. So he was going in and he was like, here's exactly how you can be our competitor. Here's exactly what you need to do. The exact step space, like down to the T. It was very, very, very analytical, and nobody did it. Everybody became their client. Everybody became their client. I'm just telling you, it's absolutely.
Here's what happened today. Okay. This was really, really great. Jake Edwards, thank you so much. He says, Pace, sincerely appreciate the time you gave us agents today. Jake, please tell people, like, was it valuable? Obviously I gave you guys 4 hours and I spent money on food. And
so what did you talk about? I mean, how do you keep agents for 4 hours?
Oh, bro,
you know what I mean?
It was interesting all the way to the end. Cause are you
breaking down sub 2 deal? What were you breaking down?
I broke down maybe one deal. Today I just was introduction to what creative finance is.
So how do you introduce? What's your first like?
What
5
I told
minutes of
that my first thing was breaking down. We talked about lead generation in their business, and I said, let's talk about leads, right? I learned that I had to go get 50 leads to get a contract. And then when I learned what creative finance was, here's how I found out is that I wasn't able to solve all these people's problems.
Yep.
Yet I was spending all these money on these leads. Doesn't that suck? And all the agents are like, yeah, it's the freaking worst. I'm like, okay, well, if I told you that I don't even care about the good leads anymore, I actually care about the bad leads. That's what gets me excited. Would you guys want to learn more? They're like, yeah, that's why we're here. Great. So let me explain seller finance to you. Let me explain sub-2 to you. And I told stories about like the bunny story, the F-150 story. I told stories about recent deals I did. Why did the seller? A lot of what people really need to understand with creative finance in their first introduction to it is, why does the seller do these things in order for them to go, oh my gosh, I got it. You're actually solving a problem that I, as an agent, cannot solve. I need to learn this and add this as a merit badge to my lapel. And that probably took an hour and a half just to get that far. And then I broke down every acquisition strategy, and I broke down every disposition strategy of like, how are the ways that I can acquire deals besides cash? And there's like, I think there's 14, and then there's an additional 14 exit strategies that agents are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you can make money on all these things.
So that I'm just curious what 14 you hit them with that their brain didn't explode.
There was an agent in there, not to pick her apart, but she had no idea what a lease option was.
Right.
Right. And that was great. She did understand sub-2. She could understand, she'd explain sub-2. So we went cash, seller finance, sub-2, hybrid. We then went to lease options. We went Morby method, right? And we went through executory contracts, like in Arizona, an agreement for sale, or land contract, contract for deed. And we went through.
When would you use contracts? That real quick? I'm just curious. You talk about the land, the contract for deed or the land contract. When do you use that?
All the time. Let's say I'm buying a house from a seller subject to.
Okay.
And they have a down payment assistance program that will not allow us to sell the property without a heavy penalty to the buyer or to the homeowner.
Got it.
If I take that property over on an executory contract, or in the state of Arizona, agreement for sale, I would say 20% of my sub-2 deals are actually not sub-2 deals, or executory contracts that don't transfer the deed
title,
but they give me control of the asset by recording the agreement for sale.
Is it just a timing thing? Like they have to have it for a certain amount of seasoning before they can sell it without the penalties?
Yep. So I've got one right now that is a 6-month executory contract that converts to a sub-2 deal once that time frame ends.
Love it. So you're going into it as a sub-2, and you find out that they'd have a prepayment penalty. So you go, oh, okay, I'll just use this land contract.
Yep. Another time we use, and again, when you guys are in like Pennsylvania calls them a bond for deed. It's not called an executory. It's not.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Bond for deed.
James Bond.
So bond for deed, contract for deed, land contract, agreement for sale, seller carryback, installments sale, right? There's all these interesting terms, but it's literally the exact same thing. It just depends on what state you're in. Yep. And so another one I did last year was a seller was like, I want to sell my house to you, but I don't want my ex-husband knowing I sold the house to you. Okay.
Yep.
I have this thing with his daughter where if I sell the property, there's all this drama and all this kind of stuff. I don't want the drama. When his daughter's 18 and leaves the property, I'll let you take the property full sub-2. So she's like, I can't do that. I can't transfer the deed. And I go, okay, well, let's just do an agreement for sale. She's like, you can do that? Like you can own my property without actually having the deed? I'm like, yeah, it's called an agreement for sale. Yep. So I used it for that. Another time that I use it very frequently is when we're ready to close escrow on a sub-2 deal, but there's still a lien that's pending. I will buy the property on agreement for sale while we continue to negotiate the lien. So I still have control of the asset, but I don't let the seller work themselves away from me going, well, I can't sell to you yet. Right. So I use them all the time. Literally, I will tell people it's a sub-2 deal because it's easier for them to understand, when I'm on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is this last year, I started talking about really what was going on is that they're executory contracts. They're agreement for sale in Arizona, land contract in Florida. The only state that these are illegal in is Texas. They're illegal because somebody misused
All of them?
Executory contracts, yeah.
Oh, got it.
And it's the only state in the country that lease options are as deeply regulated. Lease options, you have a limit. You can only do a lease option for up to 6 months.
Got it.
So you have to renew your lease option every 6 months. That's the length of time. So every other state in the country doesn't have any regulation on it. But anyway, I went through all those acquisition strategies, and then I went through disposition strategies. And this is what ends up happening. The agents are not going out and then doing these things on their own. What they're doing is they're turning around and going, can you just walk me through this? I've got 3 listings. In fact, here's what happened. Remember I said the agents stood around and asked questions? They came up to me and they're like, I have a listing that's not selling. Can you help me? Hey, I've got this. Hey, I've got 3 buyers that would be really good wrap buyers for you. Do you have any assets? I had to turn these people away. I had a loan officer there. And I said, hey, loan officer, how many of your clients are getting turned down with loans right now? And he says, 50% of all my clients have always gotten rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so agents, what if I were able to tell you I could sell your clients a property, you get paid a commission, and I don't care about the qualifications of your buyer other than their ability to make their monthly payments. Would you want to do deals with me? And they were like, oh my gosh. And what they all told me is they go, dude, we immediately started thinking about all these clients we could have been helping this entire time.
Yep.
So to your point about what Boots Mahoney, Mike Mahoney was doing, is that they're not going to go out and do these deals on their own. They're going to come to you and bring all these deals to you because they need implementation and they need somebody walking them through the steps.
Yep.
So
Love
this is what I did at the beginning of the class. And I genuinely had so much more fun. At the end of the class, this is what I asked. I said, is there any agent in here that thought I was going to be like a furu guy, like a fake guru, like going to come in here and try? And like 4 people are like, me. A couple of people were like, I was worried about coming to this class. I thought you were going to try and sell me on something, or I thought this, I didn't know what to expect. And it was delightful. The whole entire day was delightful. And I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here all self-conscious. Like I should wrap this up because I'm 4.5, 5 hours into this now at this point. I'm like, I should wrap this up. And it just question after question after question. I'm like, holy crap, I should have planned a whole day of this, right?
So when an agent hits you with, I hate wholesalers, you guys are all scumbags. You guys are all, none of you guys have buyers. None of you guys have money. You guys are just trying to like hope to make something off of my listing. How dare you? Yep. I went to real estate school for 90 hours. Okay. I took 4 tests. I have been in this business for 48 years, and you guys are putting offers in on my properties that you're never going to buy, and I hate you all.
You know what I said?
Huh.
I said, so I won't say her name.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who she is. I'll say her name. Her name's Caroline. She was awesome. Yeah. She's an older lady, older real estate agent, obviously very experienced.
Yep.
And she said, I hate real estate agents or wholesalers. And you know what I said? I said, I hate them too.
Yeah.
I go, you and I have a lot in common. Right? What do you hate about them?
Yeah.
And she said, well, you know, she was trying to be reserved. And I said, let me guess, you don't like that they don't have earnest money? And I said, agents, how much do you want on earnest money? And they were all 1%.
1%.
Like, unison. They were like unified in this. And they're like 1%. I was like, okay. So what I don't like about wholesalers is they don't have any earnest money. That bothers me because I own a title company and I see it all the time. 85% of wholesalers that come and open up escrow don't have earnest money.
Yep.
Okay. The other thing that bothers me is they don't have any buyers. So they're going and locking up contracts with homeowners, but they actually don't have a buyer that they've ever spoken to before.
Yeah, they're liars.
Yeah, they're liars. And then I said, I also don't like, one thing I don't like, I actually like, some wholesalers are not going to like this. I'm a wholesaler too, by the way. I'm telling her this. I go, I'm a wholesaler, but there's things I don't like about the wholesale industry. I wish there was a place that I could tattle on a wholesaler and that somebody would hold some wholesalers' feet to the fire. Like there are people in our local market, Brent, Jamil, myself have blackballed these people from doing business with us at least, that will file a memorandum on a homeowner's property and sit on it for 5 to 7 years until somebody has to come and arm wrestle them, spend $1,200, $1,500 with an attorney to get that memorandum removed.
That
I
never
hate
had a
that
contract
too.
with him.
Yeah. And I'm like, what do you hate about him? And so I told the agent, I said, so look, here's my job. I don't see any real estate agents or any brokers out there trying to educate wholesalers on how to be ethical, but me and my friends are. And I want my wholesale industry to have a great upstanding name. But the fact that you have animosity towards these agents means, or I'm sorry, animosity towards these wholesalers means you've encountered the people that I'm trying to fix.
Yep.
And that gained her trust, as it should. I told her the truth. I don't like a lot of wholesalers either.
Yep.
And it's actually, I shouldn't say that. I love these wholesalers. I don't like that they don't know what they're doing quite yet.
Right.
And it's our job, your job, Jamil's job, Jerry Norton's job, my job to teach and fill in the gaps for the wholesalers who don't have a governing body. They don't have a licensing process. They don't have these things. And so they're primarily learning wholesale on YouTube and then going and finding a mentor, as they should. And hopefully that mentor is not a guy out of California that teaches people how to, renegotiate on a homeowner the day that close of escrow is supposed to happen.
Yep.
So I talked about that, and the agent really liked that. She liked that answer. She's like, yeah, I don't like that stuff either. And you don't do that? No, I do not do that. But I also said, hey, I'm going to tell you the truth. I have done that before. And the moment I went and locked up a homeowner that I didn't know if it was a good deal, but I just got the contract, and I couldn't find a buyer, and I had to go back to that homeowner and renegotiate, that was it for me. Never did that again. I know how that feels, and I try and teach wholesalers against that. And she was like, wow. And all of a sudden, for the preceding 4 hours after that, she was all ears, taking notes, loving it. And her and I are homies now. She's great.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. But
there's a right way, right? I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And listen, it's like two sides, because it's like, go take massive imperfect action. I get that. Mm-hmm. All right. But if you're going to take massive imperfect action, have somebody that's got your back. It all goes back to where we started. Have a squad, have somebody that has done this, have somebody review the offers that you're putting in, have somebody guide you, work for somebody for 6 months, work for somebody for 90 days, go and join a group of people that get together and talk about real estate investing. Find somebody that you connect with that understands and does deals, and ask them to work with them. Ask them to take you under their wing and to make sure that you don't go out there and screw it all up. Because I don't think that there's anybody that genuinely, there's a few bad apples. There's a few bad actors that are just, I don't know, something's wrong. Something just isn't connecting to be ethical and moral. But for the most part, everybody's sweethearts. Everybody's going out there trying this business. They're not trying to screw up a deal or cancel a deal or promise something that they can't do. They just don't know better. Yeah. And all it takes is to squat up. All it takes is to find somebody that will be like, no, you can't get it at this price. You need to get it at $50K lower than what you're about to offer them. You know what I mean? I've got the buyer for this deal. If you can lock up this deal. That's how you start really building the momentum and really, doing this with a lot of confidence and a lot of certainty. Because a lot of people are just hiding behind emails and blast out and text messages, and they're not building real relationships and real reputation in the business. And it just takes you way longer to build wealth if you do that. Yeah, if you do it right and build your squad, you'll build it faster.
As well, though, in the class, is I did point out, hey, there's about 5 things that wholesalers don't like about your guys' industry. Can I tell you guys about that? Obviously, I gained their trust before I said this.
Yeah.
But I said, number 1 is you guys won't even present an offer, even when it's a good offer. Right? There's a lot of lazy people in every industry, including licensed real estate agents. Okay. Another one is that you agents will take a listing will not sell at the price that you take it at. And you're going and putting a house on the market. You're locking up a seller in a purchase contract. I'm not a purchase contract, but a listing agreement for 6 months, knowing damn well it's not selling at that price.
Yeah. You want to talk about ethics?
Yeah. You want to talk about ethics? You are lying to your homeowner. Now they're going to say, well, what do you want me to do? I go, okay, well, I think there's really good agents that handle that properly. And they, instead of turning down the listing, they tell the seller straight up, I don't think we're going to sell at this price. In fact, I know we're not going to sell this price. And if you're okay with me still doing the listing and not being mad at me when you're not getting offers at that price, I'm happy to put it on the MLS, but I think you're going to trade at this price. I think that would be great. The other thing is the way that agents treat other real estate agents. Oh my gosh, bro. My wife and I make this joke all the time. You know who hates an agent more than anybody else? Is another agent.
Other agents. Oh,
Another
for
agent.
sure.
And so, you know, there's good and bad of every industry, but looking at the joint venture possibilities between wholesalers, real estate investors, people that are buying property, and real estate agents, man, if we could unite and joint venture on stuff together, think about all these vacant, how many vacant houses are in the United States right now?
11 million single family houses over a year.
You don't think we could make a dent if we actually just work together?
Well, listen, 6 to 10% of the market's in distress at all times, and real estate agents are not equipped to be able to handle that.
You said 6 to 10% of the market is in distress at any given time.
We have 143 million residential units. This is just residential. This isn't land. This isn't duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, apartments. This isn't commercial. This is, well, no. It is duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. Anyway, 143 million. So 10% of that would be 14 million opportunities every year. 14 million. 11 million homes are vacant. Now, a lot of those are second homes. A lot of those are just beat up. A lot of those are opportunities that we can go after.
What do you think? What do you think about this question? I like this. Peace. Peace. Some people think my name's Peace because my hat has the peace sign.
That'd be dope.
I get a lot of people that are like, yo, Peace. I'm like, oh, you think my name is Peace? Oh, that's great. I like it.
That's cool.
Brent, what do you guys think will happen if they make wholesalers obtain a license? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it would be the best thing.
I agree with this. I think wholesalers that are just getting into the business don't want to do this for some reason. And I think the reason is I don't want people telling me what to do. And I think that that wholesaling attracts a very specific type of person, somebody that I'm going to generalize here for a second, so don't get upset.
Yeah.
Generalize, people. I'm going to generalize. Wholesaling is literally the first step getting started in real estate, is the lowest barrier of entry to get a real estate deal.
Yes.
Okay. It attracts people that really have no other option. They might have been disenfranchised from their, local environment. They might have been, grew up in the wrong place. They weren't educated. They don't have the money to go get a real estate license. And they're like, damn, I can learn some stuff from Brent Daniels' YouTube channel and go make 10 grand this week.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love it. It's going to attract people that don't like being told what to do.
Well, I don't think it would be a full-blown real estate license. That's a much different thing. I think it would be like an hour class, or not even a class. I think it would be something that you just have to pay a few $100 and be in a register so that they could get you. What are they going to teach you? Who's going to teach the class, Pace?
Brent Daniels.
Who's going to teach? Yeah, it's going to be me and you.
Brent Daniels, Jerry Norton, and Jamil Damji are going to teach the wholesale.
It'll never happen. They're just saying if everybody has to get a real estate license to do wholesale, that just means you have to get a real estate license to assign. Right? That's all that's saying, is to assign a deal in this state, you have to have a real estate license. Great. Then have a real estate agent write up all your deals.
That's a really good point.
What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Like you could have a real estate agent write up all of your deals and pay them $200 a deal.
Yeah.
Right? You can get your own license, which would be a huge advantage. But I think most of it is going to be, they're not going to require a full-blown license. I think they're going to just require some sort of certificate, kind of like they do in Philly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I really, this was like hot and heavy in 2020 and 21. Where's it at now? Like it was going to be like dominoes falling all over the place that everybody's going to have to get a license.
I think what happened is the market changed. Now the realtors are busy trying to sell their houses that have days on market of over 100 days. I think,
and they're not complaining.
busy right now. I think it's not going to stop. I do think that it's going to continue to get regulated. And I not only don't have a problem with it, I actually enjoy the regulation. I have a contractor issue I'm dealing with right now. And I made a phone call to the contractor the other day and I said, hey, I'm going to call the ROC. No big deal. I don't want to cause an issue. I don't want to argue with you, but I'm going to call the ROC and I'll have them come out and look at it. Bro, he came out the next day and solved the problem.
Yep.
So there's advantages to people being regulated, especially in wholesale, the things that people do incorrectly. I think that it should be mandatory to have earnest money in.
Yep.
Put your money where your mouth is. Don't try and negotiate somebody's largest asset when you don't have $1,000. Go find a gator lender. Go find a transactional lending business. Go find a JV partner. Go find anybody. Find a TTP student. Find an Astro student. Find a sub 2 student that has $1,000 and cover your EMD. I think that there should be a standard contract in wholesale. I would love a standard contract in wholesale. I think that there should be something that happens to people that file memorandums on properties that didn't perform in the first place, other than a slap on the wrist and no fine.
For sure.
You know, and there's, besides that, if wholesalers could kind of clean up those things, I think wholesalers would have a good name in the industry. And it would be really cool if wholesalers had a score. You know, like I can pull up an agent right now and I can see exactly how many transactions an agent did last year. And I, as the consumer, can see how many deals they did, how many listings they did. And I can go, man, you did 3 deals last year. Why would I hire you? Now, I don't want it to that level, but I sure would like to have a standard contract. I would sure like to have some standard processes across the board. I think it would bridge the gap between agents wanting to do more deals with us, and I think it would make it a little bit more mainstream. But there is something cool about wholesale being kind of like the secret strategy that a lot of agents don't even know about, which gives us, the wholesalers, the cutting edge advantage to go out and get deals that they simply can't touch. And same thing with creative finance. For a long time, I'm like, I don't want any agents to know about creative finance, because I come to the table, you guys, excuse my French, shit the bed for 6 months on a listing because you don't know how to sell this property in a down market. You haven't learned actual real estate. You've learned how to stick a sign in the yard, and you've learned how to look on Zillow, and you've learned how to look on comps and go, all right, well, what do you want to list it for? And then field phone calls. That's not real estate. Okay. That's servicing a homeowner and putting a sign in the yard and listing something on the MLS. Understanding how to sell something when the market is not trending upward, that's where real estate becomes really strategic. So I have, for the longest time, really enjoyed going, I can't wait till your listing expires, because I'll walk in there, avoid paying your listing fee, and I'll get the deal directly done with the seller. But in the spirit of trying to push this industry forward, I have to swallow that and go, man, I want these agents to be my friends. I want this industry to come together as a collective and solve all these problems all collectively. I want a joint venture. I look at agents now the last probably year and a half, and I go, man, if you want to do deals with me, I'm going to make you $100 grand this year. Just me. That's my goal. If you're an agent and you learn how you and I can work together, every agent I know should make $100 grand with me every year. And it's the same thing with wholesale. It's the same thing with fixing and flipping. It's the same thing with buying and holding. It's the same thing with creative finance, which is all 3 of those combined. But I just look at Monique Walker, one of these shining examples of real estate agents that are like, I made $1.5 million as an agent. Wholesaling to a wholesaler.
Bro, that's like a third of her business. I mean, she's an absolute superstar. Yeah. Right. I mean, what's the model? The model is talk to a bunch of people as a real estate agent. She gets up, she makes calls every single morning. She goes on appointments. If the appointment is rough and they know that they want to trade potential equity for speed and convenience, she calls Jamil. She texts him probably. She probably doesn't even call him. Probably just texts him, and he gives her a buy number, and she goes in with that, and boom, they split the deal.
Marlene says, where can we see how many deals an agent has done? This is pretty simple. If you have access to MLS, my wife is always snooping on agents, right?
Yep.
When she's, you've probably done this 1,000 times, right, Brett?
1,000.
You're sitting there talking. Let's say you have a listing or somebody at North & Co. when you were like a big real estate agent. you were fighting with an agent that was being a hard ass on the other side. You're like, dude, let me freaking look you up. And you look them up. You've had one listing in your whole life.
And you're like 74 years old. When did you start this business?
Yeah. So you guys don't know this, but agents have the ability to see what other agents are doing, not only how many buyers they've represented, but how many sellers they've represented. You get to see all of these things. The only way I know how to do it easily is through the MLS. My title company has the ability to do it. My title company has this really cool software that can show you all the things for listing agents. And it can also show you all the hard money lenders who have issued the most loans.
Yep.
And it can also show you who the loan officers who are producing and issuing the most loans on retail deals. So the information, guys, we landed on the moon in the 70s. Like, this technology it's not new. They've had this stuff for 10, 15 years. It's been out. Okay. So anyway, sorry about that. Sorry for the deviation.
No, I love it. Listen, like, if anybody's worried about licensing or certificates or getting more regulated or whatever else, the fact remains, all wholesaling is the art of finding discounted properties, and that's never going to go away. Will there be different hoops you have to jump through? Listen, back in the day, you spat on your hand and you shook the dude's hand, and that's how you bought whatever, right? And then they're like, well, maybe we should put this on paper. Okay. Well, maybe we should record all these papers. Okay. Well, maybe moving the industry forward is a good thing. Okay. Go try to buy land somewhere that doesn't have title records. Try that. Try doing that. See how that goes. Right.
You know, this is an interesting comment. This in the spirit of transparency, let me tell you how I feel about Joe Carrera's post. I like this, Joe. Thank you for this. He says, how about you teach me everything I need to know? And we split the profit 60-40, me 40, then the next deal 50-50, then the next deal 40-60. After that, I pay you for the training and I'm off and running. I'll tell you why I would never do that ever again. Because I'm not a babysitter.
Yep.
And what happens is the people who say this to me, how many people have told you they'll work for you for free?
Every day.
Every day. Those are the worst employees I've ever had in my life.
Oh yeah.
Worst. The absolute worst. I'll come work for you for free. No, dude.
Why, Pace? Why?
Because they don't have any value. They know jack all. So you want me, this is the environment. By the way, I'm going to tell you right now, until you've done this, you cannot even rebuke me at all. 1,000% of the time, this is exactly what happens. Bro, we've given these opportunities to people. I've given people cars. I've given people cash up front. I've given people, even in my office, we used to office in a house about 3-4 years ago. And I gave people a place to sleep, a place to a car to drive, everything. And I was like, here's the keys to the kingdom. 100% of the people that I've ever given that opportunity to shit the bed.
Every time. I can't tell you how many Super Saturdays, Pace. Every Super Saturday. Because we would make calls and go on appointments that day. We just did the first one this last Saturday. It was phenomenal. Pace, I had not picked up the phone and been on Mojo in 3 years. I hadn't done it consistently in 6 years, right? The real, like I built,
it does it for you.
I built a business, right? You build a business and you don't do certain things anymore. But I jumped on there and everybody was making calls. We had people in the other room and we had Luke Rothful and we had everybody on the screen and we had hundreds of people, like as many people as today, 640 people on making calls during the day, and people were getting leads and doing everything, and it was absolutely incredible. But I was doing Super Saturday, and I take people on appointments and show them exactly what to do, and nothing. None of them are in the business. Literally zero are in the business anymore. None.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we've done this. I'm not going to exaggerate. Okay, I will tell you the truth. I've probably given this opportunity to roughly 20 people over the course of 7 or 8 years. Okay. So when I say hundreds of people, that's an exaggeration.
Guys, I will verify it. I've seen him in the cars. I've seen him take people around. I gave him more. Nobody gave him more shit than me. Nobody.
Well, no, those were not people that I was just teaching for free. I did that for hundreds of people.
Yeah.
The one I'm talking about are people came into my organization and they were like, I'll work for free.
Got it. Yes. Yeah.
Here's one of two things that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. One of two things happens. 99% of the time they shit the bed.
Yeah.
The other 1% of the time, they're like, I'll give you all the glory. I'll make sure I work for you for a dedicated year. Bro, they just take all your resources and they go and start their own company 2 weeks later and they block you on their phone. And you're like, bro, I had somebody come in and work inside of my Facebook group. So this is roughly 4 years ago when my Facebook group was like 2,000, 3,000 people. Now my Facebook group's 80,000, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, we're going to work my Facebook group. This is the only thing you did. And when we got my Facebook group to about 5,000 people, we were doing $160,000 a month, multiple months in a row is kind of our average number on just JV deals, just in my free Facebook group. Okay.
Yep.
So we brought a guy in. I want to say his name, but I don't want to say his name. You'll remember him. You remember he actually worked for me, and one of his sister-in-laws came from your world somehow, some way. I can't remember. She had worked for you or something weird. There was a weird tie there.
Got it.
The second he learned how to do what we were doing, that whole I'll work for you for a year, I'll give you a year, you invest in me pace. Like, think about this with doctors. Okay. Wholesalers think that this is like they're doing me a favor. Guys, this is a standard practice. When a doctor goes to school for 8 years, he then goes and interns at a hospital.
Yep.
And he dedicates his life to that hospital for a minimum, sometimes 2 and up to 4 years, because that hospital gave him the first opportunity out of medical school.
Yep.
Okay. What do they call that? It's residency.
Yeah.
They don't just go in there and go, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna go do my own practice. No, you put your time in. You sign a contract as a doctor to say, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be a resident, and I'm gonna stay here for a minimum of 4 years. And they go, great, we'll pay you $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So even as a doctor, they make you put in 4 years. But for some reason with wholesalers, again, I'm telling you, wholesaling attracts a lot of people that are like low barrier of entry, and it attracts us not all of them, but a good portion of them are looking for where's my easy button? I don't want to put in the work. Where's my easy button? And I'm like, I'm going to teach you how to make $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the second you learn how to make $50,000 a year, you freaking change your phone number, and all of a sudden you're gone. Next thing I know, I see you in my Facebook group doing all the deals in my Facebook group, and I have to call you and go, dude, now I got to pull you out of my Facebook group. You're taking my strategies. Like, yo, you're gonna remove me from your Facebook group, bro. You signed a 1-year non-compete. You told me you'd work for me for free, and I still didn't want you working for free. I put you on a salary, and you were gone in 2 months, stealing everything I told you. You took my buyer's list. You did, dude. That is 100% of every time I've given somebody that opportunity that says they'll work for free. Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time, I have regretted it.
Yeah.
I will never do it the other way around. I'm not filtering people anymore. They need to filter themselves. I'm only working with people that have invested in themselves, either through TTP, Astro, or somebody else. Like, if you have not gone to medical school, I'm not going to give you a residency. That's like you saying, give me a residency at your hospital, and then I'll go get my medical degree. Once I've learned everything from you, then I'll pay you and go back to school. That ain't happening. You'll never do that.
I love it.
This sounds really, really bad, but I'm going to tell you guys something really interesting. There's a very well-known public speaker. I will not say his name. And this very well-known public speaker was traveling around the country. You know, he had 5 or 6 guest speakers going with him, and they were filling out seminars, and 2,000-3,000 people, big seminar type of things. Most seminars are like 500 people. They were like 2,000, 3,000 people. Well, one of the guest speakers falls out because he gets sick. So the head speaker goes, I'm going to find somebody that's been following us around and, is kind of coming up in the ranks. And this speaker goes to this guy and says, hey, I'll put you on stage and I'll pay you $25,000. I'll pay you $25,000 to speak. Cool. So the guest speaker gets on, fills that spot, crushes it, does an unbelievable job. Gets off stage, goes backstage. He goes, hey, who do I need to talk to get paid? this is so not suitable for work, but this really gives a really clear depiction. This is crazy. The guy who called him on and said, I'll pay you $25,000. He looks at him straight in the eyes and he says, the value of the whore is diminished when the act is finished.
Wow. Yep.
He said, you no longer bring value to me. You should have gotten paid up front. And he completely stiffed the guy $25,000. And guys, I've been in those situations 100 times in my life, and I have given people opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and I have never seen somebody pay back the favor that said they would. People take my gifts over and over and over and over, and all I ask them to do is not even pay me for those gifts. I say the number one thing I want to see is I want to see you take my gifts that I've given you and go and reinvest that into other people and transport that over. And when I give that to a free mindset human being, somebody has the mindset of free, they take everything from me and they never disperse it and they never compound it and it never actually grows. It dies with that person and they go off their merry way. I'm not interested in that.
Nope.
I'm done. I'm 40. I have more gray in my beard than black. I'm a man. Interested. I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
I want people paying it forward. And I'm telling you right now, you'll never meet somebody with a free mindset that will ever pay it forward.
What is that?
I've never encountered.
I don't know what it is.
Their parents sucked.
Yeah.
And it might not even be their fault. So I don't hate them, but I hate that they feel entitled to something free.
Yeah. Well, you went through that. I remember when you went through that, when you were really starting building it up sub 2, and there was people that were like real hangers on, and you were like, guys, I gotta go. Like I'm blasting off here. You know what I mean? What's the analogy? There's a great analogy, like the rocket ship have those boosters for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. The boosters get them to a certain point, and then you got to do it yourself. You got to keep going. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just drop the boosters. You know what I mean?
And it's also, I'll tell you guys, this is really interesting. I'm sorry, I've turned this into a whole nother conversation today.
I love this one. This one's been guys, if you guys are getting value out of this, let us know. I mean, the comments look like people are one, squatting up, which is fantastic, and two, getting value out of this as opposed to just hey, this is how you go get a wholesale deal. But I'm telling you, 90% and more. I mean, whatever. Put whatever percent you want on it. But so much of this business is mindset, and so much of this business is being surrounded by people that have really strong mindsets and a lot of experience. And that's what we're trying to do here. The best that we can is just speak from experience and boost mindsets and hope that you guys squat up and find each other in your guys' markets and do a lot of business. This might be the best joint venture training of all time.
I got a couple of things that are also on my chest about this thing. I'm going to give you guys a couple pieces of advice. And you people out there that are Christians are not going to like this. Guys, I'm Christian too, but you don't hear me talking about my religion all the time. Okay? I have been burned by more people that have professed in the first sentence I've met them that they're Christian than people that don't talk about religion. My first suggestion to you is don't wear your religion as a merit badge. Wear your actions as your merit badge. And what I hear a lot of people, they go, hey man, you can trust me. I'm a Christian. Immediately, I don't trust you. Immediately, I already know what's going to happen to me because I have only been screwed over by people that say, if you have to tell me, hey man, you can trust me. Oh, damn. I've been there. I've been there too. I'm not 18 anymore. You can't fool me. You can't fool me. I run immediately the second you say you can trust me. Oh, I got to run the other way.
I had a tenant do that to me. I had a tenant and he was in a similar situation where he had a child on the autism spectrum. So I felt for him. And he would I just got this new job. I was just doing this. Trust me, I'll make this work and everything. And I was like, okay, and he hit me. I'm a good Christian man. I raised my family in the church, all this. And I was like, okay, great. It seems all right. Great. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And I get a letter from like an attorney, like he was just trying to like settle all, because he had signed a lease. And I was like, what is happening here? And he left it, and he like didn't move in. He kind of moved in, but he left it a mess, and he put some holes in the wall. And then it was just like, what is going on here?
God made him do it.
You go through like this whole morality thing, and it was, trust me, I'm going to make this happen. It's like, wow.
Trust me. I've never once, even when I raise millions of dollars, I will never tell a private money lender. I will never tell a seller. You'll never hear a single thing come from me and say, yo. In fact, I can't even bring myself to let the words out of my mouth right now. It's so repulsive. But I'm going to see if I can pull out the TV actor out of me. Trust me, I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm a Christian. Trust me, I'm a this. You can trust me. Guys, if you ever have to say that to somebody and lead with your words rather than lead with your action or your reputation, wow. Now, one last thing, I got something to say as well that's not as hard hitting as that, but it's been really hitting me hard the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I've been going to Miami more than I care to. And I go to the same TSA guy, the same flight during the same week. I'm like on this guy's route. He like almost expects to see me, right? So like, it was interesting because he said something to me this last week I've never heard him say. Whereas every time I come and see him, he says, have a great day. Or he goes, have a nice day, bro. No. This is what he says. He says, later, bro. That's what he says. Later, bro. This week, he said something dramatically different. He said, have a great day, sir. What was the difference?
Oh, I bet it was the way you were dressed.
I was wearing a hoodie the first 5 times I went through, and he says, later, bro.
Yep.
I was wearing a sport coat when I went through, and he says, thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Guys, the way you dress, the way you do your hair, the way these things are important. If they weren't important, we'd all be driving white cars with hubcaps. Right?
Especially going on appointments with sellers. Like, I would not dress like this. No chance. I would be poloed out, or I'd be buttoned up shirt. I'd be slacks. I'd be like at least a nice pair of pants, good shoes, the whole thing. Right. You do not go on appointments all schlubby. My team, when they come in on Fridays and they have to wear all their TTP gear because I make them, because I just love having everybody with TTP gear. They bring a change of clothes to go on appointments right after our meeting. They will. They'll go out there as a professional. I went and got a deal, and I was dressed, and I had this shirt that said Neighborhood Ambassadors on the back, and it was a polo, and I was wearing slacks and shoes, and it was me going in on this wholesale appointment, and the dude coming out was wearing it looked like a beach towel. Like literally he had like a skirt on. Like not like a I recognize, yes, like a sarong on, right? And it wasn't like I recognize myself as like a woman type of thing. That'd be fine. No problem, whatever. It was just a bro in flip-flops and a sarong on with like a beat up white, like undershirt.
Yeah.
I got that deal so fast.
Oh yeah.
And he was a cool bro, dude. He's like, good luck in there. I think I'm going to get it, but whatever. You're going to do your thing. But I think I can pay more, the whole thing. Got that deal. And I couldn't believe it was long hair, bro. So super broed out. And I was like, oh, I am going to go in and just be charming as hell. This is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, I'm just, of course I go in, I want to act myself. I want to be around people where I can wear a hoodie 90% of the time. But when it's appropriate, I put a sport coat on. I put a button up on. I make sure that. And here's the other thing too. I was getting dressed this morning. My wife did not even question me because she knew where I was going. She knew I was going to speak and teach agents today. Am I
Yep.
going to show up to talk to agents who that their broker wears a button up every day, the people they respect, the mortgage officers they do business with wear a button up or slacks every day, and I'm going to show up in a hoodie?
Right.
No, because I wanted to dress up as a sign of respect to them. And that it was my sign of saying, look, let me show you. I took this as seriously as I want you guys to take it. And I appreciate your time, and your appearance does matter.
Yep.
And I go to meetups. Okay. I go to meetups. Some people are not going to like to hear this either. We're at 6:30 mark.
Yep.
Guys, have you guys enjoyed this podcast today, by the way?
Guys, listen, check out the podcast. This is a podcast. I mean, obviously it's a show, but definitely check out the podcast. I don't know where Pace just went. Pace just left. Check out the podcast, Wholesale Hotline. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's everywhere that you can find your favorite podcast. Make sure you check it out. It's got individual podcasts from Pace, Jamil, Jerry Norton, and myself 7 days a week. Galen wants me to ring a bell because it's been a great week. It's a great start to the week, guys. It's a great start to the week. That's why we do this on Mondays, so that you can go out and take serious action. I want next Monday that we ring the bell some more, Pace. We got to commit to this because we saw a lot of people in here that just closed a lot of deals, and I want to recognize everybody. Here you go. Come on. But take this as that, the wind behind your sails.
Carly, I love you. And I appreciate you working with me on my team. She makes a really good point here.
She does.
However, there is a point in this life where you can be Gary V.
Yeah.
Where you have $1 billion and you can wear what you want when you want because your accolades are the clothes you wear.
Yep.
What you've accomplished is stronger than anything you can wear. Okay. All I look at is when people are wearing certain clothing, and Carly is just making an interesting comment. She dresses incredibly well. She takes care of herself. But there are people, I go to meetups, I go to seminars, I go to these places where people are congregating and meeting with each other. And then people come to me, they haven't brushed their teeth.
Yep.
Women are typically very good at grooming. Men are atrocious at grooming. Okay. You might have a beard. If you like having a beard, how about you shape it? Don't have one side longer than the other side because that's your natural growth. Trim it down, make it look appropriate. Look, I wear a hat 90% of the time. Okay. I'm not judging people, but I'm just saying, like, people, if you want to JV with people and you want to do more deals with people, you have to groom yourself and take yourself seriously. It's a sign of respect for the people that you're doing business with. So, what a great show today.
Great show.
What a great show.
Awesome. What do you got coming up? Anything?
Oh, I have something really interesting coming up. I'm actually speaking on Grant Cardone's challenge coming up this week. And that challenge is the Unbreakable Business Challenge. And go to pacerecommends.com to get on there. Let me just show this to you guys just real quick. Here's what's cool. I went out to Grant Cardone's office, and he basically he did a whole office tour, and he says, hey, I want to show you guys what my business looks like. So he has 5 divisions in the company. Okay. So let's see, pacerecommends.com. There we go. If you go to pacerecommends.com, this Unbreakable Challenge, I'm going to be there. It's 5 days. Okay. You'll get Grant's new book, the ebook, instantly free, which is pretty cool. This starts tomorrow. And bro, I am so freaking lucky for this. I am getting to speak on this challenge. So guys, do me a favor. Diana says she's registered. pacerecommends.com is the domain. And they're having me, what do you think they're having me speak about?
Community.
How did you know that?
Bro, you're the authority.
Thank you, dude. That means the world to me. I was surprised. I get a call from Elena Cardone, and she says, "Thank you, guys. A lot of people are saying they're going. Thank you. Brandon Craig says, "What day are you speaking?" I don't know what day I'm speaking. They won't tell me that. Go to pacerecommends.com and sign up for the free challenge, please. If you are a sub 2 student, I've already told you guys, sub 2 students, I will reimburse you for the VIP. It's $97. I don't want my students going into the free section. Go into the VIP and email Katie@pacemorby.com if you're a sub-2 student, and I'll get you guys reimbursed for the $97 ticket. Why do I want that for the sub-2 students? Elena calls me, this is last week, and she says, Pace, our challenge is coming up. And Grant and I said we want, or thinking we want to have you speak for 15 minutes. And Grant interrupts, he's like, you can tell he's 20 feet away. And he's like, we don't want him speaking for 15 minutes. We want him speaking for 45 minutes. And I'm like, and then you hear him come shuffle over to the phone. He's like, and I don't want him just speaking for 45 minutes. I want him here in person. It is a live stream event, but they are having me come to their studio for 45 minutes. And I'm like, great. So I'm talking about creative finance. And he goes, no, man, I want you talking about this community. How have you built this unbelievable community? What are you doing different than everybody else? I want to know. We haven't been able to do what you've done. We want to see what you're doing. He's like, I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to be literally sitting next to you, taking notes on this. So he's like, I'm doing this for myself, not even for the audience. So I really would love to have my sub-2 community there. Come into the VIP section, because in the VIP section, you get to be behind the stage with me, and I get to see all your chats. I would love for you guys to change your name and put the sub-2 logo in there so that everybody in the VIP section know you guys are there. So go to pacerecommends.com. I look forward to seeing you guys. I don't know what day I'm speaking yet, but I will be flying to Miami to do that speaking. And it's this week. It starts tomorrow. So pacerecommends.com. I'll be doing that this whole week.
Awesome.
What do you got going on this week, brother?
Wednesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be going live, answering whatever questions you have about wholesaling real estate. It's going to be a lot of fun. We do a little training in the beginning. We squat up in the comments like this and get a lot of questions and answers out. So be prepared. That's 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Let this be the jump start to your week. I want some massive deals next week when we get on the show. We love you guys. See you next week.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool.